Of course. Here's section 1 of the script, 760 words, written with clarity, emotional depth, and tight pacing, as requested. Today was supposed to be special. My birthday. I woke up early, smiling, heart fluttering with the kind of hope you feel when you think someone's about to surprise you. I made coffee, glanced at my phone, nothing yet from Ryan. But I told myself, maybe he's planning something big. He's done that before. I spent the morning decorating the living room. Nothing extravagant, just some white and gold balloons, a happy birthday banner I ordered a week ago, and candles for later. I even baked my own cake. Chocolate, his favorite, not mine. Funny, right? I dressed up in the navy dress he once said made me look unforgettable. I sprayed on perfume he bought last Christmas. Every move felt like a silent plea for him to notice. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was Ryan. I swiped eagerly. Hey babe, he said. Listen, the guys kinda pulled me into something last minute. Just to hang out. I'll be back later tonight, alright? For a second, I didn't speak. You remember today's my... Of course I remember, he cut in. I'll make it up to you. Promise. I gotta go now. The line went dead. I just stood there, phone still in my hand, like maybe the call wasn't real. I stared at the cake, the candles, the empty table set for two. I didn't cry. Not yet, Tina called. Hey, happy birthday, beautiful. So, what's the plan? Fancy dinner? Or is Ryan surprising you with a trip? I hesitated. He went out with the guys. Said he'll be back late. Silence. Emma. Seriously? On your birthday? It's fine, I said quickly, too quickly. He promised to make it up to me. Tina didn't buy it. You've been saying that a lot lately. I changed the subject. Asked about her cat. Pretended I wasn't choking on disappointment. After we hung up, I sat on the couch, legs tucked under me like a child. I stared at the door for a while. Thought maybe he'd come bursting through, laughing, carrying flowers, telling me it was all a setup, but the hours passed. I reheated the food twice. I even cut the cake by myself. Lit one candle. Closed my eyes. My wish was stupid. Let today not be what it feels like. I sent Ryan a message. Hope you're having fun. Just letting you know I waited. No reply. I scrolled back through our old photos. Vacations. Weddings. Smiles that felt real back then. I tried to remember the last time he looked at me like I mattered. It had been weeks, months maybe. Every time I asked if something was wrong, he'd laugh, pull me close, say, "You overthink too much, Em." Maybe I did, but not today. Not when the silence felt like a choice. By 10 p.m., the makeup I applied that morning felt heavy. I wiped it off, each stroke a little more furious than the last. I poured myself a glass of wine, didn't finish it. The candles burned low. My phone lit up. Tina again. Do you want me to come over? She asked. No. I'm tired. I'll sleep early. Emma. This isn't okay. I know. There was nothing left to say. I hung up and stared at the ceiling. The worst part wasn't being forgotten. It was realizing I had let it become normal. That somewhere along the line, I stopped expecting anything. That I still defended him. I laid in bed in the same dress, too exhausted to change. My phone stayed silent. I finally let myself cry, not loud sobs, just quiet tears soaking the pillow. That kind of sadness that doesn't even need sound. Just wait. Before sleep took over, I made myself one last promise. Tomorrow, I would stop pretending everything was fine, but I didn't know that the worst wasn't behind me. It was just beginning. Of course. Here's section 2 of the script, exactly 760 words, concise, emotionally intense, and advancing the plot without repetition or filler. Morning came without a message. No missed calls. No apology. I checked every app, every platform. Nothing. I got up, showered, got dressed, made breakfast for one. Even the silence felt louder. By noon, I told myself maybe he was still asleep. Maybe he got too drunk to drive. Excuses came easy. But something inside me had already shifted. I opened Instagram and started scrolling, not for his account, but for Liam's. He always posted stories when they were out. There it was, 20 seconds of blurry bar lights, clinking glasses, someone laughing behind the camera. Then, a quick clip of Ryan sitting close to someone. A woman. Her face wasn't visible, but her arm was resting on his thin bracelet. Red nails. I replayed it. Paused. Zoomed in. He was smiling. That easy smile he used to give me. Except now, it was for someone else. My heart didn't race. It sank. I took a screenshot and sent it to Tina. She replied instantly. That's Claire. I typed, Claire who? Claire. His coworker. The one from the conference. I told you about her, remember? I didn't remember, or maybe I didn't want to. But now the late texts, the calls he'd take in the hallway, the jokes I wasn't part of, suddenly made sense. I stared at the screen for too long. Finally, I called him. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same thing. I texted him once. I saw Liam's story. Tell me the truth. No reply. Tina called next. Her voice sharp. I told you something was off. I didn't want to believe it. I'm coming over. I didn't argue this time. When she arrived, we sat together, not speaking for a while. She held up her phone, comparing the bracelet from the story to a photo on Claire's profile. Same one. Gold with a charm shaped like a leaf. Claire wore it often. She didn't even try to hide it. He told me she was annoying, I whispered. Said she was clingy. Tina shook her head. They always say that. I scrolled through more of Liam's stories, checking timestamps. The last one was at 1:43 a.m. Ryan hadn't come home at all. Not even a message to explain. Tina leaned forward. You deserve to know how deep this goes. And you need to decide what you want to do about it. I nodded, though my hands were shaking. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was hollow, like grief without a name. We sat in silence until my phone buzzed again. It was Ryan, finally. Hey. Sorry, phone died. Just woke up. Crazy night. That was all he wrote. And no mention of my birthday. No sorry for the silence. Just casual indifference like nothing happened. I didn't respond. Tina looked at me. You're not crazy. You're not being dramatic. This is betrayal. I wanted to scream. But I stayed quiet, thinking about all the times I let things slide. The lies disguised as little omissions. The way I had slowly accepted crumbs and called it love. I typed one sentence back. We need to talk when you're home. Then I turned off my phone. I couldn't take more of the half-truths. I didn't want another excuse. I wanted facts. I wanted him to look me in the eye and admit it. The rest of the day passed like fog. Tina stayed until late, making sure I ate something. When she left, I locked every door and sat alone in the dark, the cake still on the counter, untouched from yesterday. This wasn't just about one night. It was about the pattern. The slow fading. The distance that became normal. And now, the confirmation of everything I feared. He had made his choice. I just hadn't reacted yet, but I would. The next words I planned to say would no longer come from hope, or love, or even pain. They would come from clarity. From truth, because no matter how long you wait, betrayal doesn't get easier. It just gets clearer. Of course. Here's section 3 of the script, a direct, emotionally powerful continuation, exactly 760 words, with no repetition or filler. He walked in around 9 a.m., keys jingling like it was any other day. I was sitting at the table, the same spot where I had waited 2 nights ago. He froze when he saw me awake. You're up early, he said casually, dropping his bag by the door. You didn't come home on my birthday, I replied. He rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, I stayed over at Liam's. Things got out of hand. I didn't blink. And Claire? Was she at Liam's too? His jaw clenched. He looked down. What are you talking about? I slid my phone across the table. The screenshot of Liam's story stared back at him. He didn't touch it. Just sighed, like he was exhausted from having to answer. It wasn't what it looked like. I folded my arms. Then what was it? He hesitated. It just happened, We were drunk. It wasn't planned. I didn't mean for it to go that far. So it did happen. His silence was louder than a confession. I felt nothing in that moment. Not rage. Not sorrow. Just a sharp clarity. You lied. Not just that night. 4 weeks. You made me feel crazy for noticing. I wasn't trying to hurt you, he said. You've been distant too, Emma. Always distracted. Always tired. You don't get to blame me for your cheating. I'm just saying it wasn't all perfect between us. Things haven't felt the same. Then talk to me. Don't sleep with someone else. He sat down, finally looking up. It was a mistake. I don't even care about her. It was one night. That was my birthday. His face fell. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Every word hit exactly where it should. He opened his mouth like he might defend himself again, but I cut him off. I cooked your favorite meal. I set the table. I waited for you until midnight. And while I sat here hoping you'd walk through that door, you were touching someone else. His head dropped into his hands. I messed up. You destroyed something, I corrected. I'll fix it. No. You won't. His eyes shot up. Emma, come on. We've been together for years. We can get past this. You didn't just break trust. You disrespected me. Dismissed me. On the one day I should have mattered most to you. He reached out, but I pulled back. That small gesture was enough. His hand hung in the air before falling slowly to his lap. I don't want an apology, I said. I want peace. So you're ending this? Just like that? There's nothing left to repair. You weren't just unfaithful. You were cruel. You planned to lie before you even left the house. He didn't argue anymore. Just stared like he was finally understanding that this time, the damage wasn't reversible. Later that week, I packed a suitcase. Not all my things, just enough to leave. Tina helped me find a temporary place. The moment I stepped out of that house, the air felt different. I didn't feel free yet, but I felt honest. Like I'd stopped betraying myself by staying. The days that followed were quiet. Hard, but clean. I deleted old photos, muted his number, and let silence do what words never could. I journaled. I cried. I smiled without warning, too. Those little bursts that come when you remember who you were before someone convinced you that you were too much or not enough. I didn't check on him. I didn't ask about Claire. That part of the story was over. Eventually, I stopped counting how many days had passed since I walked away. I stopped rehearsing what I'd say if he called. Because healing doesn't need a witness. It just needs truth, and mine was simple. I loved a man who didn't love me enough to be loyal. I gave my best and he gave me excuses. I don't regret loving him. I regret making myself small to hold on to someone who was already gone. Now, I don't wait for birthdays. I don't wait for flowers or dinners or empty promises. I give those things to myself, because when someone shows you they're willing to hurt you, and then lie about it, you don't stay to see if they'll do it again, you walk away. Even if your hands shake. Even if your voice trembles, and one day, you realize leaving was the beginning of everything you deserved. Absolutely. Here is section 4 of the script, minimum 760 words, continuing the story with the same emotional clarity, tight pacing, and no repetition. 2 months had passed. The silence between us had become permanent. He didn't chase me. Just one message a week after I left: I miss you. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Tina asked if I ever thought about forgiving him. I told her forgiveness isn't about him, it's about reclaiming the parts of myself I let him chip away. I wasn't angry anymore. I was awake. I found a small apartment downtown. 1 bedroom, white walls, a window with decent sunlight. I filled it with plants. Cooked meals for one. Bought a new pillow. Cut my hair. The changes were small, but each one felt like a choice. I went back to work, kept my head down, smiled politely. People asked if I was okay. I said yes. I was. Or at least, closer than I'd been in a long time. One afternoon, I saw Claire. She was at the cafe near my office, standing in line. She didn't notice me. She looked thinner than I remembered, tense, distracted. For a second, I thought about walking up to her. Saying something. Anything, but I didn't. What could I possibly say that she didn't already know? She was never the main issue. He was. And whatever story he told her, it wasn't mine to correct. I walked away. That night, I opened my old journal and tore out the pages that had his name in them. The ones filled with hope, the ones soaked in confusion, the ones that begged for things I now knew I deserved without asking. I burned them in the kitchen sink. It didn't feel dramatic. It felt necessary. A few weeks later, I ran into Liam. He looked uncomfortable the moment our eyes met. I didn't stop walking, but he called after me, "Emma, wait." I turned, keeping distance between us. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry." "For what?" I asked. "For what you knew and didn't say." He nodded. "I didn't think it was my place." It always is. When someone's being hurt and you stay silent, you're part of it. I know. He told me he was going to end it. That it wasn't serious. But serious enough to cheat. Liam looked down. He regrets it. He talks about you all the time. I don't care. He looked up, startled. "I mean it," I said. "I don't care. Let him regret. Let him miss me. That's his punishment." Liam nodded again, quieter. "You look different." "I feel different." We parted without another word. I didn't look back. Healing wasn't linear. Some days, I still woke up angry. Not because I wanted him back, but because I wasted time trying to be someone he'd choose over his worst impulses. But other days? I danced while cooking. Took long walks. Laughed without guilt. Met new people who didn't ask about my past. They just saw me as I was now, unattached, calm, open. One evening, I passed by our old favorite restaurant. I stopped for a second, considered going in alone. I did. Table for one, same corner seat, same waiter. He smiled and asked if I was waiting for someone. I smiled back. No. Just me. I ordered what I liked. Not what we used to share. I sat quietly and savored every bite. That dinner wasn't about proving anything. It was about reclaiming a space I once surrendered. Eventually, I stopped calling myself heartbroken. I wasn't broken anymore. I was just different. Sharper. Quieter. Wiser. I didn't hate Ryan. I just didn't recognize the version of myself that loved him. That woman gave too much. Waited too long. Believed too easily, but she also walked away. And that made all the difference. I started writing again. Not about him, about me. About resilience. About dignity. About the strength it takes to stand up from betrayal and choose peace over revenge. Not because it's easy, but because it's powerful, and one day, if he ever hears my name again, I hope it stings. Not because I want him to suffer. But because I want him to know what he lost, not just a woman who loved him, but a woman who finally chose herself.